Hello. I don't know if I am doing this right. I don't know at all. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. Today is Monday, which will be the 50th Monday that I've been a part of. Hey, Crystal. So this is the 50th Monday that I've been a part of the 100 Mondays with ArtMamaMoves. So I am going to be here today to tell you a little bit about my work and honestly where I am in my creative process. Springtime is my time. My birthday's in April, so this is normally the time that I choose to be the most creative, or when I take the projects I've been working on throughout the fall in the winter to kind of put them together to create a collection around this time of clothing. If you've been paying attention to my videos, you know that I originally started with my circle square design for my most recent collection. Um, I'm in my room, so there's a lot of stuff everywhere. So this was one of my original designs that I did for my most recent collection. The shirt was the first thing that I started out with because I was screen printing the shirts myself, but the design ended up traveling and becoming more, translating from just a linoleum block that I cut myself to screen printing, then to embroidery, and then to producing my own textiles. So from all of that, I am now at a point where I'm comfortable with the textile and I'm willing to create more things by taking that image and making it symbolic to my brand. Now when people see it in different colors and different ways, they gravitate to it because they know that it's me. It's similar to my logo right now. So that's where I'm at right now. And if you are following me on social media, you can follow me at Klyde Wright on my Instagram. That's KLYDEWRIGHT, just to see what that is and the full process of that. Just a little bit about where I'm at with all of that. Right now, I am in two spaces. I'm in the process of continuing a collection that I'm already working on, extending it to make it larger to a broader audience. And I'm also working on a new set of textiles to produce another collection by the middle of the year. So April 16th is my birthday. By that time, I would fully have a collection of clothes that is considered wearable and affordable made from my textiles on my site that will be available, but I will be using the designs that I created within the year. While as when I release my next collection, which I can't tell y'all that yet, that will be a full new collection. It will not contain any of the textiles from my last collection. It will be a new collection of textiles that I'll be presenting and that I'll be showing. And then next year is when I would take that collection that I produced this year and expand it to a wider audience. So that's just something that I do when I create my collections. I like to keep them little small, little unique things. And then I take that over the year and try to process it and make it larger for a wider range of people. And that means people as a male, female, size, non binary, whatever you consider yourself. Um, um, so as of recently, the last set of videos that I've been doing have been centered around how to take my clothes and my textiles that I create and translate them into different styles and different ways that you can wear them. Because my stuff is sometimes really out of the box, it's hard for people to put it with something like, oh, how would I wear that? Or how would I do this? So I realized with my own personal style, I can show people um, how to wear my stuff. So that's been where I've been at too. Um, and that's just with the recent videos I've been doing, and I've been trying to get back to the way my brand started, which was doing shirts and putting my art physically on shirts. That is also something that I'm working on with expanding the collection that I have now and presenting the next collection that will be later this year. Um, Outside of that, I am I work a job. I work full time for I would say mid-range fashion brand, and with that, I learned so much about trends in fashion, trends in textiles, and trends in buying, about how customers buy and stuff like that. So I've been using the information from my job to learn how to get an affordable product to a customer that's willing to spend money. Because one thing I realized as an artist, as a designer, I can create work all day, but I know that there's certain people out there who support me, and it's difficult to sell $100 piece to someone who is like, hey, I just want to support you. Sometimes $100 is just like way too much of a price. So what has also been the goal throughout this expanding the collection and creating a collection is trying to make it affordable and trying to find a way to not give people a shock value with the price, and actually try to create an affordable brand, of an affordable black owned brand. Because being a black owned brand, sometimes we fall into the point of having to be luxury or having to be high end in order to be seen. And me personally, I'm on a journey to create an affordable black owned clothing brand. So that's where I'm at. And it took me a while to get there. I was one of those people that was creating avant-garde style, out of the box clothing, and expecting my friends, people who know me and I went to school with, to be able to buy that. And I didn't realize it until the pandemic, how stifling that is to people. When the pandemic hit, that's the first thing I really thought about, was like, how is fashion going to come back, and how am I going to come back from that? And when I realized that, wow, people are really having financial issues. So who am I as a designer to offer a $50 product or a $60 product or a $100 product to someone that's going through a pandemic right now, and then marketing that and posting that and expecting them to get into that? So that's where it came, the concept of maybe I should work on, as a designer, problem solving as a designer's job. So the problem became, how can I make it affordable? Yeah, I can design it. Yeah, I can do this. How can I do that? But how can I make it affordable, and how can I still make it appealing to people? So, um, yeah. So that's some of the few things I've been working on. Also, I can talk about my shirt that I have on today. Recently, I've been on a journey to uh, also be able to do everything I can to produce my own work. I do sew, I do make my own clothes, I do paint, I do a lot of things, but trying to find great and better ways to produce work quicker, easier, faster, and at a great price to people who want to support me. So one of the things that I came about was heat press, or printing shirts. So I've learned how to print shirts in college. I started my business with printing shirts, and I've also worked for printing companies, and I've also helped start screen printing companies too. So I've been a part of that, but screen printing in that process is a little old school now, and it is a bit of a mess when you're a small brand working literally in the small space. So what I've developed now is a way to print my own shirts, and with that comes a lot of like my embroidery and my patches and all that kind of stuff. So now where I'm at right now is buying the equipment for t-shirt printing, and then finding out and experimenting with different patches, and how can I take my aesthetic and blend it with this machine in order to create a affordable product for people who love and support my work. So that's where I'm at right now with everything. I wish I had. My room is perfectly clean now, so if I open this closet right here, or show you what's behind it, it's a lot. But what can I show you? Is there? I don't know if there's any questions that anyone has, or my sister Crystal wants me to touch on anything. Sorry, guys, I'm sitting here trying to, still new to this, trying to figure this out. If you have any questions, I hope. Okay. When did you know that you wanted to be a designer? I wanted to be a designer. Um, Interesting enough, that moment came to me in the most cliche of a way. So I started in high school. I was in an art class and I was kind of a rebel at that time. But I was one of those like, I'm really smart, but I want to rebel against the system kind of thing. So I was kind of in between that space and I discovered wearable art. Not just art and not fashion in a sense where it's just like, oh, Chanel, Dior, couture. I discovered wearable art first, and the assignment was to create a wearable piece of art. And for me, it was the first thing that confused me about art, where I was just like, wait, so it has to be wearable and it has to be art. Well, I'm confused in that. And my teacher spent a long period of time explaining that to me over the course of the assignment, like what the assignment was. And it wasn't until I finished the piece that I realized that this was the thing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, not because of looking at the final product, but just the process of, I had a classmate, she had a normal woman's body, and I had to put clothing on her to make her look good. And then the item that she was wearing had to look good too. So it presented two problems to me. And it was one of those things that I connected with so much. And that's the one of the things I love about fashion, where it's just like you're solving two problems, you're making something great while making it fit on something else. And that's what got me into that fashion. Um, Once I created that, I was a duct tape dress, by the way. My first piece I ever created was a duct tape dress. And once I created that, I had the wow moment. And then I dove down a rabbit hole of information where I was just like, um, I dove down just learning how to sew, clothing construction, having an internship, working with um, meeting other designers that had brands and stuff like that. I had that all happen to me in a small window of time. So within 3 to 4 months of me discovering that this is what I wanted to do and learning how to do it, I already knew where I wanted to be inside of it, although I was only 18 years old. So when it was time to go to college, I knew art, fashion. That was the only things I was going to school for. That's the only things you could convince me to go to school for, because I already knew what I wanted to do. So once I did not do that great academically in high school for me to go to a large or amazing institution. And also I discovered art and fashion late, to the point where I didn't have that well developed of a portfolio in order to show to a school. So I decided to choose a school that would give me experience, and a school that would give me a life. So I chose to go to a historically Black college. And with that, it gave me exactly what I needed, which was community and being around people who were like me and who were still different and still focused on their education, to the point where things that I was doing became great to them, solely because they knew that we were all on the same journey of developing greatness and learning and growing and being with each other. So me doing that with them and creating artwork around that and creating t-shirts really gravitated and brought more people to me. And that's why I feel like my brand is where it is right now. Despite the fact I don't have this huge following, I still have these groups and small notions of people from college and people that I went to school with who know me as this designer artist, and they support me and they support my journey, and I've been appreciative of it since I've started. So I can say that I wanted to be a designer. I didn't want to be a designer until I learned more about what being a designer was. That's what I'll say. At first, I thought I was just making clothes, and then I realized that when I had my first fashion show, I realized that I had created something. Yeah, the community. Yes. So I didn't realize I created something until after my fashion show. I had my first fashion show in my high school. It was a regular art show, and I was bringing fashion to it for the first time. And for me, it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's the regular art show that we have in my school every year, same time. It's just I'm doing a fashion show. So to me, it wasn't a big thing until the models came down the runway, they walked, and all these people were like standing up and clapping, and I'm like, y'all, it's not that big. I just did a thing, and I realized that I had did something that no one in my community at the time was doing and was focusing on, and I was pioneering something that I didn't know I was doing, you know. And even to this day, the fashion component at the art show at my high school is still a thing. And if I was to go to my high school and to be a part of that, I wouldn't be surprised if the kids there knew who I was, at least by name, because I started that and I continued that and I went back to make sure that was happening. So I don't know what it is now, but I would hope that it has grown into something. So I guess me being a designer or becoming a designer has always been my journey, and I just discovered it over time. That's what I would say. Because I wasn't one of those people that always felt like I wanted to be a designer. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I can say that um, another thing that pulled me towards fashion and creating my own clothes was not having the finances or the money or the traveling or the the reach to be able to wear things that were expensive or to wear things that people knew about or to wear things that were cool. So for me, my idea of style was, um, if I made it, it's cool. You know what I mean? If I made it, it's cool. I think that in my mind it's still that way now when it comes to my work. I can tell you now, and this is just my mindset. There's no I don't care how expensive it is. Um, when it comes to my stuff, when I'm dressed in my stuff, in my things that are one of a kind that I made and I put the work into myself and I know it doesn't exist anywhere else. When I have that on, it doesn't matter what anyone else has on because I feel like I have on the flyest thing ever. You know what I mean? And it comes from, being in from a place where people use things like the Jordans and exactly. So when I see people who are the label junkies and like to wear those different kind of things, I don't push anything by them, but I get into a certain kind of feeling when they feel like that I'm wearing something that's less than what they're wearing. When my mindset is when I'm wearing something that's one of a kind that I've made, and you're wearing something that's mass produced by people who probably weren't being paid a living wage, there's no way. There's no way. And that's what I see when I see those expensive brands who are charging a lot of money that people use as status symbols for themselves. I'm like, well, do you know what it takes to make that? Do you know that there's someone who probably didn't even get paid a livable wage in order for you to pay what rent to order to wear that product to stunt on me, a person who learned the craft in order to make my own? We live in a different world now, people. But that's just where I've been at, and how I started, um, as far as support. uh, Exactly, Jordans cost $5 to make. Now think about it. If it's costing them $5 to produce it, how much are they paying the people to make it? Like, just and I feel like that because I'm of a person of fashion and of a person of production and art, I look at things like that. Okay, and that's why I can go to a store and say, hey, that's cool. Can I make that though? Can I do it myself and support myself and wear and still be in style and still be in trend? Like this shirt that I have on now, I made this shirt myself. I put the patches on there. I arranged this myself, and it still fits within the trends of what people are wearing now. But it's me. It represents me, and I put the work in to create it. So I don't feel the need to um, feel like I'm wasteful or something, or wasting my money or something like that. But that's just me. Thank you. I really just tested it out. Honestly, I got the heat press, and I was just like, well, I got patches. I got a bunch of knickknacks and patches and stuff like that, and I pressed it on. I was like, it was so cute. I woke up this morning, and I wanted to be bright, and I decided to wear the shoot, and I got bands and my colorful socks. But color has always been me. Um, is there anything else? I'm sorry. There's something. Oh, yes, my shirt I made myself, just playing around and trying to test the equipment that I had, and it was really cute. And I felt like that. Okay, question. I'm really intrigued by how you create the shapes of a person. Can you talk about your process and how you draw people? Okay, so I guess that is a great story too. So when my art teacher realized that I wanted to go into fashion, she told me and showed me a few things. And one of those things were mannequins and croquis. I think they call it in fashion terms, where there's a mannequin that you can put in different styles and you sketch the clothes over top of that. Because we were an art class and I couldn't really focus on fashion, what she did was she made, and I say it now because back then, as a high school student, it was torture. She separated me from the class and she made me draw the posable mannequin. You know, the posable mannequin has a head, and it's a ball, then it's a body, then it's a ball, then it's the hips. It's a ball and socket combination. So I spent a full year, not a school semester, like a full year drawing that all the time in different poses in different ways, to the point where I had a small one. Then she got me. I think I won a large one in a fashion competition. I won one that was about this big, and then I had one that was this big. And then, ironically enough, I ended up getting a fashion like clothing mannequin who was, the body, and then the arms were ball and socket. So I was, for several periods of my life, I was seeing this mannequin with the posable body, and that's how, um, my people started. That is how I chose to do people. And it's something that she told me, like, oh, you draw like this. And then one day she took them away from me and she was like, now draw them. She made me draw it without seeing them and just from memory. And what we see, or what I see, or what I do now is what came from that memory. You know, I'm a very tall guy. I'm very tall. I'm very lean. I'm very long. So when it came to interpreting the body for fashion, for me, it was easier for me to translate myself. You know, so my mannequins are very dramatic with how they do their necks and shoulders and arms and their legs, because that's kind of how I am. So I translated my own body into the mannequins I was creating. And when I got into fashion, when I went to college, I was part of a modeling organization, and I was in doing the fashion shows. I was there. So I've seen models hit the runway from every single angle. I've been in fashion shows, seen them pose, all kinds of stuff. So on top of having the memory of the mannequin, now I have this memory of just fashion, poses, attitudes, all kinds of stuff like that. Yes. So when I draw my mannequin, sometimes most all the time it's me literally feeling the pose within the brushstroke. I already know the body, I already know the proportion to get it right, but her head being tilted a certain way, and her neck being turned a certain way, and her shoulders being up a certain way, and her hands being a certain way. It's all things that I've seen before, that I am now mimicking, because I've seen it so many times and I know the motion, that I'm just mimicking it. So that's really what it is when I'm painting and drawing my mannequins. And it's one of those things that at one point it was, oh yeah, it took me a long time to do. Now I can do a mannequin in like a paint stroke, a brush stroke. I can do it really quickly. But I remember being in high school and me drawing one of those things took me a whole class. The whole class, just to get the head right, just to get all the proportions right. And now it's like, baby, she got attitude. I'm about to put her in there. And that has also been a part of my artistic journey too. and just understanding the body, because then once it translated into being a part of like life drawing classes where I can actually study the form and study the body and stuff like that, it really pulled me into fashion and clothing even more. And one of the favorite things I liked about life drawing class is, everyone's like, okay, drawing the naked form, that's fine. Drawing the naked form is great. But every time I used to love it, we had a plus size model for our life drawing classes. She had beautiful curves and stuff like that. And I loved it every time my um, teacher would put a piece of fabric over her to like, cover, her parts of her body, for stuff like that. And I used to love the combination of the human form and fabric. So it kind of went back to that. So yeah, that was that. My mannequins is a thing. Yeah. Um, is there any more questions? I also my first painting that I ever did was my mannequins, and I was inspired by Edgar Degas and his um, interest into ballerinas. So when I was doing my mannequins and I was drawing my mannequins all the time, and at that time I was in an art history class, and I saw Edgar Degas' obsession with the ballerina, and um, I saw his obsession with the ballerina as the same as my obsession with models. So I had an assignment outside of class. My teacher gave me a canvas and said, paint something on it. And it was the first time I've ever picked up paint. And it was the first time I had the creative freedom to do something without the concept of a grade. So I painted a famous painting by Edward Degas, and instead of using ballerinas, I decided to use my posable mannequins. And for me, that was the first spark of artistic creativity for me, when I took my intellect and added my spice into it and then did it with my hands. It felt great to me, and it was something that I gravitated to with both art and fashion. So at this time I had like fashion in one hand and art in the other hand, and I was just like, and that was in high school. So that was what, like 2008, 2009. So now I can say that I'm like, yes, yeah, love Edgar. But it was holding those two elements together of art and fashion. And do I go to school for art? Do I go to school for fashion? How do I bring these things together? And what I discovered is that I can bring them together through textiles. I realized that I could, instead of constantly making clothes from fabric that I can buy, I can make the fabric. Do you believe in reincarnation? Yes, I do believe in reincarnation, because I feel like that I am the reincarnation of someone, or yeah, I believe I am the reincarnation of someone who has done the same things that I am doing right now. And I feel like that it's one of those things that is slowly coming the more I go about life. Certain things just seem a little too familiar in the practice of fashion and art and sewing and making clothes. Things that I've feel like I've never really done before, never really looked into. I've done perfectly the first time. So I do believe that I'm in the reincarnation of someone, but I have no idea who that would be. And it would be great if I was a reincarnation of one of the amazing artists that I've studied in school. But wow, that's cool though. Your textile. Yeah, so textile and what I when textile is cool. Textile, go to textile. I just discovered that textiles were the passage for what I'm doing, but I continued receiving the message when I was in high school. Not in high school, when I was in college. I continued having my teachers um, tell me that they knew that I was doing fashion outside of classes, despite the fact that I was doing so well at art in class. But for them, they were confused because they didn't see my fashion in my art, if that makes sense. And then when they saw my art. They didn't see the fashion. So this was my teachers coming to the one of the college fashion shows and wanting to see my work and be like, oh, it's nice, but it doesn't look like the stuff you do in class. And then they come in class and see my drawings and they say, well, that doesn't look like the work I just saw on the runway. So there's a disconnect, and you have to, yeah. So there's a disconnect. There was a disconnect in high school about, in college, about the art that I was creating and the fashion that I was creating. And I was still tie dyeing, printing. I was doing the art on the stuff, but it wasn't cohesive. It wasn't, here's the art, now here's the fashion. It was like, here's some art and then here's some fashion, but you couldn't tell that they came from the same person. So I spent a large period of time inching one and two together, turning clothes into art and then turning art into clothes. And it felt silly when I realized that it was textiles. And I didn't think I could do textiles because I thought textiles were something else. And I realized that when I came to the conclusion that textiles was it, I realized that I've already been doing it and I just haven't figured out what to do. What music era speaks to you the most? How does music tie into your art? I the music era that speaks to me the most, I am definitely one of those people who are in current times with music. So I'm not an old soul when it comes to certain things like that. However, there's something about a combination of drums and violins and things like that. I like upbeat dance music, and I say that in a way where, because it's not particular to the genre as much as it's particular to the energy that you feel inside of you when you listen to it. Like, for instance, I like rap, but specifically about rap, I like hustler music, because when I listen to the hustler, and I call it hustler music because it speaks about someone going through something or being on a journey and coming out on the end strong, and they're putting it to a heavy beat with some snares or some sort of catchiness to it. And I like that because I'm listening to the energy of the music, and that's what's driving my work. So I like, um, for example, right now, um, I'm not so fancy with my music, but I love Megan Thee Stallion, and a lot of people are like, very controversial for what she represents and stuff like that. But what I love about her work and her music, and that it's always like, I'm gonna get it. It's, for me, I consider it like workout music. Like, and I will kind of say that it's weird to say that I'm the kind of person that paints to the same kind of music that someone will work out to, like that pumping in the background. I need that. I need that energy because it keeps me going. It drives me. Any vibration under my feet, if it can make me get up and dance, it will make me paint and it will make me sew. Some people prefer to listen to something calm and serene, and for me, it's kind of like, nah. I need something that's going to be like, yeah, yeah. If I need my head banging while I'm working, that kind of. Yes, yes, I love her, and one of the things I love about her is her music has confidence in it, and she speaks as a strong Black woman who is getting her education and is confident about her body. She speaks from my point of view as a gay Black man. So it's like, when I listen to her songs and she telling how she about to do this and do that, how she about to get these dudes and do this. I'm like, yeah, girl, me too, girl. Yeah, uh-huh. I love it. I love that energy about how she's about being confident, being sexually confident in yourself, and having fun with that for your own entertainment. And her confidence makes me confident. And I'm a naturally confident person. So it's like, I love just that natural confidence. Another artist is another artist that I will say that I really appreciate their music is inadvertently it'll be Kanye West. And the reason why I say Kanye, listen to some of his old work and be re-inspired by the person he was during that time. And even with all the controversy that came with him as an artist, I've had to take myself away from listening to some of his newer music because I can only connect with him when he was a little more humble and a little more go-getting to where he's at now. And I feel like now that he's here in it is different. His music is different, but I would say Kanye West too. He said, "Are you a fire sign?" Yes, I'm an Aries, born April 16th. I am the definition of what it means to be, yeah, pre-crazy Kanye. Pre-crazy Kanye was a genius. And for me, pre-crazy would be before he started the clothing line and before all that kind of stuff. Before when he was just when he was trying to be something that he is now. And it's weird to say when a rapper is trying to be something, he sounds better than when he actually becomes it, So, um, but yeah, is there anything else that I could talk about? Because I think you gave me some great points to talk about, and yeah, naturally confident. And it's great to say that like I have a group of friends and we're Aries and we kind of stay. People are look. Don't, I have a group of friends and we're Aries and we stay with each other and not stay like live with each other, but we keep with each other. And I love to be surrounded by our energy because it's so uplifting. Like I know that my friends, when I get into my friends group chat, that we're going to be supportive of anything that I do and they're going to help any way that I can. And we're all, especially when we get all fired up about something, it's like, man, there's nothing that's going to stop us. Um, Yeah, I wish I had something to show, but I had to clean my room. What films do you enjoy? I'm an Aries. I enjoy action films. Like, I want to see people fight. I want to see, yeah. So, I want to see people fight. I want to see things blown up. I want it to be a very difficult task that I don't think the person is going to complete. Um, I need some things to blow up. I need some fighting. The Justice League new cut came out and it was 4 hours. And I'm gonna tell you this: when it came out, I watched it and did not notice that I was watching it for 4 hours. And then after I realized that I watched it for 4 hours, I watched it again because it was that good. And it was the fighting, it was blowing up, it was superpowers, it was aliens, it was all. If you can get all that in a movie, anime. Okay, so here's my thing with anime. I'm not into anime because I just am not into it. I remember watching a documentary in high school about the culture of anime and the history of it. And I thought that watching that would make me more intrigued, but it's one of those things that I highly respect. But I don't really know too much about it. Maybe one day. But one thing I can say, the way that I dress is inspired by the concept of anime characters, if that makes sense. Because one of the things that I love the most is that there's this colorful brightness, pop, almost cartoon-like thing about yourself. And that's one of the things that I've adopted in my style. So I don't really care that my socks match. I like bright colors. I like tight shirts. I like tight jeans. I like, because I'm tall and I'm thin, I kind of can fall into that I can wear anything kind of thing. And I like to abuse that. And I feel like that kind of falls into how I see anime characters dressed when there's sometimes it's like you're looking at the outfit, it really don't make sense, but it's just a look. And it's just that's the one thing about anime that I connect to is seeing their outfits and being like, oh yeah, can I pull that off? Like some oversized cargos, a ripped crop top, a vest with a satchel, and like some fun character animal. Okay. We gotta let you go, Clyde. I love you. All right, I'm out. I really appreciate talking to you guys, and I really appreciate being here. And I really thank y'all for giving me the space to talk. And I hope that you see more of my video. You will see more of my videos soon, and hopefully, um, we can do this again. Peace and chicken grease. Now, watch me figure out how to exit out of this. Peace. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, cancel.